All right, let's roll. Pre-live chat. As Kenneth likes to say, we have Seth freaking Page on the show, frontman to Nickelback. No, I'm just kidding, dude. It was
I wish.
Ortega.
I wish.
Ortega did it. But yeah, dude, from Jump Ship, he's at Seth Jump Ship. I put everything in the description, and then I thought I was clever and came up with Let's Talk Ship, and then I realized every single episode that you put on YouTube that I've watched, like you have like Let's Talk Ship with
Talking Ship. Yeah, me and a buddy, Monroe Miller. He's got a gym in Virginia. I've known him for years and years, and he's a really, really articulate, smart coach. And I have kind of more of an online, like, louder personality. I'm like, the two of us should just get together and do a show. And so we did a few episodes early on, maybe middle last year, but our schedules are both so crazy we couldn't be consistent with it. So we started with Talking Ship, and then it died out, and then I kind of brought it back myself later on.
And you're a full-time coach?
I'm a full-time a lot of things.
Okay, tell us, what is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have the online company, and that's probably where I have to spend most of my like brain power is writing the program for the online company, answering clients' questions, shooting media. Like, as you guys know, creating media takes forever. Curating, editing, posting just takes forever. Yeah. And then I'd had this stupid idea of having my own show, which also eats into all my time.
No, it's amazing. Your show's amazing, bro.
It's fun. It's so fun. It's like a guilty pleasure because I know it is helping the business a little bit, just get eyes on, but it's really fun for me to do these shows. So I just like chatting. So anyway, I do most of the Jump Ship stuff for the online company. And then my wife and I also have 5 affiliates. And so we balance our efforts across these 5 affiliates depending on what needs what attention at what time. So all year long, there's something that is a project going on at one of the gyms that needs attention that we're constantly working on.
Oh, hey, wait. I know.
Crazy.
Yeah, I want to get into that immediately. I just want to say thank you, Vindicate.
Yeah, we got our swag.
We got the new shirts. We appreciate you.
Dang.
Yeah, Vindicate made these for us. You can't
like
see
Grand Theft Auto plays. Those are sick. Yeah, those are cool.
He did us a really big favor.
He surprised us. He created them himself and just sent them to us, and we just asked him for some new colors, and so very, very appreciative of him.
I got my Coffee Pods and Wads one on too.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Listen, another one.
We all just rock Vindicate. It's fine. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah. I do want to get back to the affiliates, but just real quick on the swag or whatever, it's very much what we talk about with a lot of people that we have the privilege of talking to is that everybody is on the same team, even though everybody's in the same circle. And we all just, oh, shoot, we got our first one.
Oh, dude. Allegra.
Thank you. We just got monetized. So this is our very first one.
Congrats. Everyone tries to buy me drinks on the show because they keep saying I have stories I'm going to tell if you get me. I don't drink anymore. So but if I did, boy, do I have some old CrossFit dirt.
Allegra R 999. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is really cool. It's very fun. Here's a drink for Seth. Maybe he'll spill some tea. We're gonna try to get him to tell us some things that he hasn't said yet. So that's our goal.
But real quick, I want to go back. So 5. How did you get to 5? Where did you start? Whose crazy idea was it to do more than one?
Well, the story's longer than the 5 gyms I have now. I'll try to sum up the pre-story.
Yeah.
So back where I'm from in Maine, back in 2008, 2009, I found CrossFit I was a police officer. So I went to the police academy. They taught me about CrossFit there. Graduated, roped a bunch of my friends into doing it with me. There were no affiliates. Within a year, a group of us had kind of opened an affiliate. So, and then that turned into multiple affiliates in Maine. Fast forward a bunch of years, 10 years almost. And that relationship with me and them started falling apart for business reasons. We just couldn't get on the same page business-wise, so we split. So my now wife was my girlfriend at the time, Danny. 2 of us moved to Florida. We bought an affiliate down there, and we're rebuilding that back up. The owner was retiring, whatever. We built that up. That was right before COVID. So we had built this up, rebranded it, got it going, cruising. We were so stoked on it. COVID shut it down. And we're in Southeast Florida. So that was like one of the first places that got actually shut down. Also one of the first to reopen, but shut down. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, I'm done with my job at Misfit. I got fired from that. I don't have any of that income coming in. The gym's closed. We're like, oh wow, we put all our eggs in one basket and we are screwed. And so she has family out in Hawaii, and she said, you know what, like let's take an opportunity to start over. We both know the business. We both know what to do. Let's like rebuild everything. Let's do it in Hawaii. And I said, okay, let's do it. So we sold everything we owned, house, all items, packed a bag, put it on a Jeep, drove it across the country, shipped our car to Hawaii, moved into like not even a one bedroom, a studio in Hawaii.
Mhm.
And then we started talking to local gym owners out here. And all the gyms in Hawaii were closed for ever and ever and ever because they were so strict about COVID stuff. A lot of the owners were super burned out. They were hobby gyms. They weren't profitable gyms. And a lot of them were like, there's no chance I'm even going to bother reopening. I can't renegotiate my lease. I don't want to do it anymore. All these different reasons. So I said, you know what? Like, let me buy this, let me buy that, let me piece this together, let me do that. And so a bunch of different owners were basically done with their businesses. And my wife and I rebuilt these gyms and communities post-COVID. And so, yeah, so.
Wow, that's incredible.
Are they
That's
all
incredible?
are all your gyms in Florida, or are they
Hawaii.
Hawaii?
So there's 3 right now on Oahu. There's 1 on Maui, and then there's 1 in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So who takes care of the in-person stuff in Arizona? You have like a business partner or a manager that's like your right hand out there?
So part of the thing that we realized early when we had our first gym and then our second gym is like, okay, we need to bring in people that are like-minded and want ownership opportunities. So we started finding partners for these locations, like minority partners that wanted in but had skin in the game, and they wanted to learn what it was like to be an affiliate owner and have that experience. So each of the gyms now have different levels, we'll say, of partnerships, individual things we've worked out. And so a lot of the partners are also like the full-time like managers or operators as well. So we have our gyms that we like focus on currently, which is the 2 gyms we live closest to right now. And so we have most of our time there. And then we just work kind of remotely to help the other owners and partners on the other locations.
That's really
awesome.
cool. Kenneth DeLapp, thank you. We love you.
Always.
Jeffrey Birch, welcome to the show.
You guys are killing it with the
Thank you.
super chat.
And Wad Zombie, appreciate you. Oh, Pedro.
Oh, Pedro, what's up?
We can give money. Awesome. Happy to pay for this sick content. Appreciate you. Real quick, Wad Zombie wanted to ask, can I have a lock of your hair for $5?
Dude, you can have it all. I hate my hair.
You don't like it long?
So it started out, this is a COVID thing as well. I was clean cut my whole life, like regular haircuts. Barbershops closed, didn't go back, never went back. And so it just started growing and growing. My wife thought it'd be funny to bleach it one day when I'm sitting down working. She's like, I'm bleaching your hair. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Do it.
Yep.
So she did it. And then it sort of took on a persona that now I can't get rid of.
No,
I was
you
saying,
can't.
I feel like
I
it's your image, right?
your
Yes.
signature.
You can't get rid of it.
Every time I threaten to get rid of it, people are like, you're nothing without your hair. And I'm like, you're right. I'm nothing without my hair. So I'm stuck with this like it's like a curse.
You have to keep it. You have to keep it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you said was that you hear a lot, or you've worked with taking over gyms of like these hobby gyms, and it seems to be a trend for people. Why do you think that people start gyms out of hobby, and why don't they last?
I think it's just a passion project for a lot of people. I think the intent is really good for the most part when they open these gyms up, but a lot of people, I mean, CrossFit gyms take a lot of, they're a tricky business to run because you build these relationships and you're friends with everyone in the gym. And so the business becomes secondary for some people. So the hobbyists, make their friends and it's their social circle and all that. And when your business is running like that, it's really hard to do things like raise rates, charge for different things, stuff like that. So now your margins get cut super thin, but your rent keeps going up. Your cost of doing business keeps going up. And eventually those two just clash. And then you have to make a decision. Am I keeping it? Am I selling it? What am I doing with the gym? And so if you don't run it like a business from the start, which can be tough because you have to make some tough decisions and put your foot down in a lot of places, which upsets some people within your gym. But if you don't do that from the start, certain people take advantage of you and your business just won't thrive long term.
Yeah. So you're saying that it's very important to establish that boundary of the relationship from the very beginning. Like you lead with business, you appreciate and you're very friendly with your community, but you have to lead with business from the start to have that boundary to be successful.
I think so. That's been our experience, and we have, you know, lifelong friends at every gym that we've ever been a part of. And but there are also times like my wife is more so about this than me. She's like, you know, there might be a big social gathering that's, you know, someone's having a party at a house, and we really talk about whether we want to go or not, because you go to parties where people are drinking. Sometimes you don't want to see what your members are doing outside of the gym.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to see certain interactions. Like there are certain things that will spill into your business then. So it's like, if you just stay on the outside in certain situations, that's good. So we're really like business minded in the sense that it's like, it has to run like a business first, and then it can be our social circle, like secondary to the business choice.
Yeah. Would you say that you have more friends that you knew before the business that have joined, that have come into the community, or have you met some of your really good friends in the community but you're still able to establish and have that relationship with them?
Yeah, all my friends now basically are within my gym communities or online communities. Yeah, basically all my friends now. A lot of people from back home that I was friends with for years and years. I lost a lot of my friends when I had that bad business breakup when I was younger, and so that probably is not going to be mended. It is what it is. But so since I've traveled and changed things, I found a lot of people that really understand the business side of the gym, and they still want to be a part of it, but they understand the decisions we make, and then they support that, and they actually get on board with us and help perpetuate that within the community so others understand. And those sort of people are kind of, I don't want to say bigger than just a community member, but they're kind of like leaders, and they help like cement the whole foundation of it. And those people have been like really great to us, and I consider not all of those, but a lot of those like close friends.
And I think that's a really important thing to say, is that you're essentially friends with adults that get where you're coming from. Like you're a business first, and there's no need to take advantage. No one's trying to take advantage of anybody. They appreciate what you offer. They appreciate what they get from it. And they're also willing to support that and understand that. And I think that that's the bigger message there, is that you just have people that are not willing to take advantage of you, which I think is hard to find, especially in gyms.
It is. And I find a lot of the people that we end up being closer with are entrepreneurial in some sense, where like they have their own business or they're doing this. So they're in our shoes too, just in a different setting. Right. So they fully understand what's going on. It just makes it easier to connect with those people and have those conversations, maybe look for advice from time to time.
Right. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm learning how to play second chair right now. Kenneth the lap. Sorry. No, I'm fine with it. Go for it. I have
a lot of questions.
This is all about learning how to podcast. I'm learning how to play second chair. I'm happy to do it. Kenneth the lap. Seth looks like he could be a distant cousin of Adam Knifer. Oh, I like Adam Knifer.
He's great. I'll say this about Adam. I don't look up to that many coaches in the space. I didn't have that many mentors coming up. Adam is one of the very few that I look up to, and I'm like, what's Adam doing? How can I be more like Adam? So
that's cool.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite coaches to see on like social media. Like I love watching him do his thing, explain stuff. And he's super fun. Wild Zombie, I get it. Image, if Pedro didn't have his Irish accent. So if you didn't have your hair, it'd be like Pedro not having his Irish accent.
Oh yeah.
Turd. I'm saying turd.
I tried to mess with him on one podcast, and I couldn't bring myself to say it because I just know what that means. Took me years to learn it, Nick. If I go back to my Baltimore accent, people will stop listening.
That's pretty funny.
Fire Pedro.
I don't even mess with Pedro. He's too quick-witted. He's way quicker than me. I couldn't mess with him. Yeah.
I can only get into so many things, but when you went on the Jeopardy podcast, that was iconic. That episode's iconic, bro. You literally doubled down on the daily double. You doubled down on daily doubles. I was so excited. I was on my phone like, yes, do it. And then you didn't get it. And I was so upset, but
I thought I got it too. And then I realized my mistake, but yeah, I was going for either the record score or a big fat zero, which is what I got. And so I earned my score.
But listen, you stayed true to your word. You said that you were going to double it, spend it all. And you did every time. And every time they were like, are you sure? You're like, yeah, that's what I said I was going to do. And I'm going to do it. So
I'm a gambler. I love it. I'm a gambler. That's what I do.
How long have you guys been married?
2019. So September. So coming up on 5 years, actually.
Congratulations,
dude.
Thank you. That was fast.
It goes very fast.
What about you guys?
August 8th, we will celebrate 12 years.
12 years.
12
wow.
years. Yep.
Yep.
And our son just turned 7, so they make it go even faster.
Yeah, kids make it go way faster than actual marriage.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I bet watching them age is like, it's like fast forward almost. Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I get memories on, I'm sure you do too, if you had like social media back then, Facebook and stuff, and I get pictures of us when we first got together. I'm like, oh my God, we were such babies and how far we've come and all that type of. So yeah, it definitely goes by really, really fast.
Oh, when I get memories like that and they pop up, I'm like, scroll as fast as I can away from it. I'm like, oh my God, that can't be me.
Yep.
Do you ever see anything on there? Like if you go onto Facebook, I know nobody goes onto Facebook anymore because that's for old people. So I won't say that I still go on Facebook, but do you ever get any of the things that you said like 10 years ago and you're like, oh, nobody cares?
Well, maybe a couple things, but I had my job in the past when I was in law enforcement, because I was kind of undercover for most of my career. I couldn't have social media. So I had a Facebook, but it was under a different name. And I used it to like as a messenger with close people.
You couldn't have a Facebook undercover. Yeah.
No, I couldn't. So there was no posts, there's no photos of me, there's no old stupid things that I wrote, no statuses that I updated that was like stupid. There's none of that because for almost 8 years I was off the radar. So thankfully I don't have to go back and experience those things.
Oh, lucky you.
Do you know you want to be a cop right away? Do you get into that like right after high school?
I got like I was a lost kid in high school. I did not know what I was going to do. Barely graduated, barely. Just didn't want to, just hated it. I found no use for it. Like a lot of people, I think so many people in the CrossFit space have a similar story, like just squeaking by and then finding CrossFit and then becoming successful and passionate. So anyway, got through, wasn't going to get to any college other than community college. And I was, this is going to sound silly, traveling around playing darts at the time at these big competitions around the country. It's what I used to do. And a lot of them were cops because on weekends or they had vacation and they were senior police officers that had all this time off so they could travel around and play this adult game. And so a lot of them were like, hey man, like, what are you doing after school, whatever? Because I was the only young guy there with all these adults that were playing this game. What are you doing? I have no idea. You should be a cop. You should be a cop. You should be a cop. I heard it like 50 times over the course of a couple of years. I'm like, all right, I guess they know. I guess I'm supposed to be a cop. So I go to, criminal justice, or I went to community college for criminal justice. And then my grades went from barely passing to like perfect scores all through college. I'm like, oh shoot, I have a knack for this style of thinking, of like reasoning through things. I understand, constitutional stuff. I understand, I just got that. It just clicked really well for me. So I went into it and I went to the academy. I got hired right away out of school, finished the academy valedictorian, which was like a big shock. So like, it just came natural and I didn't know what I was getting into. And because of that, I was so like forward thinking for a younger guy. I was like promoted very early too. And so I didn't know, I kind of fell into this field by some suggestions and then just like kind of crushed it until I got super burned out on it and then just had to leave.
Did you? Yeah. And how long were you in again?
About 8 years.
About 8 years. And so as you're going through school, this is probably, well, no, it's not a stupid question. I just don't know. When you were in school, did you know undercover was like where you wanted to go? Or is that something that comes later once you get into the station or wherever you're stationed and stuff like that? And then they ask you to do something like that?
The idea, the concept of drugs to me growing up, I was never smoked weed, never drank in high school. I didn't care for it. So that the concept of that was like so taboo that when you started learning about it through the academy and other things, it seemed like such an interesting thing. Like, what is going on in this underworld with drugs? It seems like a movie, right? So that's always like this exciting thing as you're like a newer cop and you've never seen it before, you never smelled it, you don't know what it is, and then you start to you get on the street, you find it a couple times in people's cars and you do traffic stops and you're like, wow, like it just seems like this big deal when you don't know better. And so I was intrigued by it and I thought, man, that'd be great to do drug investigations. And when you do those, you're typically undercover. So I applied for an opening about 18 months into my career when it came up, but you're supposed to have like, I think it was 3-year minimum experience of patrol before they would accept you for stuff. But they gave me a waiver because of how I did in the academy, and they let me interview against like 10 other guys, and they picked me. And so now I was this like hotshot young drug agent kid that they knew that they could like mold and use, and grow your hair out, wear your shittiest clothes, come in, be ready to do anything we tell you to do. It's like, I felt like I was about to star in a movie at that point. But then you start to get through it, and it's just dealing with like the worst of the worst every day. No positive interactions, only negativity every day. And you don't get to turn it off. When you take your uniform off, you're done, right? You go home, you're done. You don't take your uniform off. You go home in your same shitty clothes. You're going to take a shower. You're going to get dressed, and you're going to put your shitty clothes back on. You're going to go back to work. And so when you're kind of in that role, you don't know how to differentiate between when you're looking out for something and when you're supposed to be relaxing. It's very tough.
I was going to say, and they've romanticized that a lot in the, like, you had all the Law and Order shows, you had all the movies that were coming out around that time. What the Leonardo DiCaprio one where he was undercover, and it was just so like, you were like, oh my God, that's so badass. He kind of goes crazy in the movie too. So it's, I guess.
Have you ever seen The Wire, the HBO show?
Not a lot of it, but I've seen some of it.
That's the closest that I've seen on TV to it feeling like the real thing. So if people have seen The Wire and they see like these people working all these crazy hours, getting called out all the time for this stuff, doing these weird interviews, going in places they shouldn't be, like, that's what it's really like. It's kind of weird. It's like a dramatized version.
Kenneth.
Yeah.
That's how you get PTSD, constantly on alert mode. Would you say that you experienced or have PTSD from that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I drove myself a bit crazy in that job. And I started, so they actually like kind of, I don't want to say pulled me out. They changed my role after a few years because I started being willing to do things that a normal person shouldn't be willing to do. Put themselves in situations that most people would say, ooh, there's a red flag there. Don't go there. Don't talk to that person.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll do it. So my boss recognized that and said, "No, that's time for a change. Like, you can start training new agents, and you can, you can take on this role instead." And they had other people start doing it because, like, once you become too relaxed with it, then you get yourself into issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool that your bosses were able to recognize that and pull you out and make sure that you were okay and that you didn't, do anything crazy.
Oh yeah, I had some really great bosses and some really horrible, despicable bosses. Bad people, good people, bad people. Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like that you started to say yes because it just became, like you said, you were living it for so long, it just made sense to you? Was it a feeling of having to prove something, or was it the chase of like getting to the end of what you were trying to do?
A little bit of pressure because people expect you to do it, right? But when you do it enough and nothing goes wrong for a while, you just feel like it's going to be another day, right? And thankfully, my worst situations, I had a couple scary moments, but nothing like, never had a gun pointed at me or anything like that. I had a knife pulled on me once when I was from a backseat passenger and I was driving a car undercover, and they put the knife to my neck. That was a little scary for a minute. We diffused that, but I never had anything that was like super, super close call. And so it just kept my confidence high that I was either good at what I was doing, even though I probably wasn't, just false confidence, but just nothing happened. So I just show up to work and keep doing work. But then you start to realize, like, you're going up in this 3rd-story apartment to buy crack or something like that. And I'll just go right up. They're like, you can't just go right up. We don't know what you're doing up there. Like,
Right.
So
yeah. So you
that
had
sort of
some,
thing.
like she said, you had some really good people that were like, you know what?
Nah, not now.
Let's take you out and let's, almost be your advocate for you, because it sounded like you got to a point where you couldn't advocate for yourself, of like, this is getting too far for me. So to have those really strong people that were like, nah, we're going to have you come on up. We're going to have you come up here and change it up or whatever. How would you say that you were able to, I guess, transition from that job to your new position where they were having you train people?
It was easy. I didn't mind at all. I was in Maine, so like the offices aren't like Baltimore, as Pedro put out, where there's like 100 people per office doing the same thing. There's like 6 of us in a whole county that are doing this. So we all know all the roles and all the jobs because we have to be like a jack of all trades sort of thing. And so it wasn't that hard for them to be like, okay, you're done doing mostly undercovers and working streets. You're going to be like the representative for like meth labs. So that's like what I did when there was a meth lab call out. Then I got trained how to like get in the suit, go in the house, take the meth labs apart, like assess, like write search warrants, stuff like that. So yeah, so I went from
to another.
but that once you know what you're looking for, it's not that dangerous. It's dangerous to the people who are trying to cook the meth in their house. It's not that dangerous for me to go in and be like, okay, don't let those two things mix, or it's gonna combust. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, so that wasn't that bad. It was more so like hot and sweaty, getting in suits and spending hours in these nasty broken down trailers trying to take apart labs and stuff like that. So this is different.
How holy crap. So I guess there's going to be a round 2 of this podcast because
so
I
many
don't
things.
have enough time to do all the
I
things.
swear to God, in my head, I've lived 3 lives. I had
You have to have.
I had a whole cop life. It feels like a whole lifetime. I did that. I have my whole like misfit life where I started CrossFit, and then the move to Florida and Hawaii feels like a third life. It feels like I have these massive chapters that are so distinctly different in my head. It's weird to me. It's weird to think back on it.
It's kind of, yeah, dude, crazy. Kenneth Lapp, was this in Hawaii? If my years of watching Dog the Bounty Hunter has taught me anything, crime is rampant in Hawaii.
Crime's nothing in Hawaii. It's getting worse, but it's getting worse everywhere. People in Hawaii, they just steal. It's just a lot of theft. There's very, very few shootings. There's plenty of drug use, but there's drug use everywhere. But no, it was back in Maine. I did everything.
So how long between this and you starting your, like, I know you started your businesses or whatever, but your social media, like when does the YouTube channel pop up and the Instagram?
So this is like a rebirth sort of as well. Cause when I was with Misfit for years and years, we were one of the first like programming companies out there. And I think we probably had the biggest, strongest media at the time of programming companies. There's just no one else doing it. It was before Rich.
I saw it everywhere.
Yeah, it was probably we had podcasts every week. We had a very strong Instagram channel. We were always doing videos, always doing camp shooting stuff. So I was very comfortable with that sort of thing. I did it for 10 years with them, but then I didn't know anything about it, how to start it on my own. And I kind of fell out of the media side of CrossFit during COVID, like everyone else, felt very disconnected. And then what brought me back in on this stuff is watching shows like this, Pedro, Savan, all that stuff. Like those things, like finding those longer form things, which I like, brought me back into the space. And actually, like, so we had our Instagram going since we launched Jump Ship in like 2020, right before COVID. And we did okay with that. It grew organically, mostly because people knew who I was. So they just joined and followed, whatever. But this stuff, like the YouTube channel now, this was really inspired by everyone in this like CrossFit circle here, because I wanted something to do that I could give, like put myself out there more. In a 30-second clip on Instagram doesn't allow me to teach much of anything. It's just like, what can I grab your attention with? But I can come on here and talk about all kinds of shit that people might want to hear. Or on my own channel, I can share the things that hooked me to CrossFit early on and made me stick with it for 15, 16 years now. So like, it just gave me an outlet to like give back a little bit. And selfishly, I enjoy doing it.
No, I love it. Yeah, I know he is. I'm trying my hat at asking and pretending like I don't know who you are and trying to like get all the questions out and whatever. But that's why I was fangirling at the minute that you said yes, that you'd come on.
Oh yeah, I love this. Honestly, biggest shout out has to go to Pedro, because he brought me on his show early on when I had basically disappeared off the face of the earth. Between leaving Misfit and doing Jump Ship, I was essentially forgotten. And he brought me on, and like I had so much fun on his like around the whiteboard and the interview. I was like, I love doing this. I'm going to do more of this. I'll do it myself. I can stream too. Like I'll figure it out. And so he really kickstarted this for me. So if people don't like seeing me online, like you got to go blame that guy, because he really, it's his fault. He got
I'm going to say thank you, Pedro, because thank you for everything. And also too, like I'll say it, I mean, as much as I always want to thank Sevon for anything that I do, I also too want to thank Pedro because him and John Young were like the first two that I ever like I was scared to death and I DM'd them and was like, hey, have like 50 subscribers and I'm nobody on any platform. Would you want to come on my show? And they're like, yeah, sure. No problem.
Yep.
So
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how people just they're willing to. I know some games athletes know who I am, sort of, or remember me, kind of. But when I'm asking like Jason Khalipa and Matt Chan, those guys to come, I'm like so nervous. I'm like, man, why would they say yes to me to waste an hour of their time? Why would you waste an hour of your time with me? But then they do it, and it's great.
I forgot who.
Okay, because John Young came on the show and was like, "No, I was never afraid. I have ice cold, like my veins are made of ice."
Never cold.
And
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I sweated my ass off while trying to push this end button." So okay, dude.
Or had the message written out and just didn't press.
I never pressed
hours.
send. Yeah,
you know.
Do you think it's like a fear of rejection thing?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to be. I mean, in your head, it's if they don't see it or they don't or they say no or they delete your message, like it's no big deal. You don't know them, they don't know you, or at least for me, it was like that. But at the same time, you're really hoping because you're a really big fan and but for me, it was like, this is my third podcast. Like,
wait, so can I have the short background on how this all started? Because I don't like you. To me, you guys just appeared one day, and I was like, wow, they're off and running. This is crazy. Okay, let's see what's going on. So what's the quick origin stories? Because everyone else probably knows except me.
You can go back and watch how.
Go ahead. How did this start?
Me and Sevon started fighting in the DMs about political things because I was very, very, very liberal, and I wouldn't say he's very conservative, but he's in the middle, and he would just fight with me on stuff, and I would get all pumped up and pissed off. And then he invited me on his show. I went on his show as a guest, and then we just kept talking. And then I was like, oh, I want to talk about political shit too. I also want to talk about CrossFit. I also want to talk about, how your marriage, like just social things. I want to talk about all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just kept giving me, thoughts, feedback. Then Sousa started giving me feedback. And then it was just kind of like, okay, let's see who I can DM and come on the show and see if I can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That takes guts to follow through. That's the hardest part about anything, right? It's like we all have good ideas, but the follow through is so challenging. You say you want to do something, you have an idea in your head, but actually getting up and doing it, like that's so tough. So good on you guys.
When you start the Jump Ship podcast, are you married already?
On the YouTube show?
Yeah. Not the.
Oh yeah.
So
this is new. This is brand new for me. I think I'm only 5 months in on my show. I had stuff on the channel, but it was all like programming related, like stuff that I would share with gyms or athletes that were following my program. But like the idea that I'm going to do like a show talking to other people, trying to show like past CrossFit stuff, I might have 35 or 40 shows under my belt total across 5 months. So this is a whole new
The
thing for me.
episode was great. I loved it. I watched.
He was awesome.
Yeah, it was fire.
Yeah.
But what does your wife say when you say you want to do this now?
Well, so that's a great question. Great question. So like I was just talking about with follow through, I have my own issues with following through on things. So when I tell her, I'm starting to get invited on shows after Pedro's show, when I win the Around the Whiteboard thing, other people are like, oh, come on my show. So I'm like, cool, taking advantage. She's like, you're doing a lot of these now. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm thinking about doing my own. And she's like, okay. She's like, good luck. And I'm like, okay, can I get a microphone? She's like, no, you can't get a microphone. Can I get like headphones? No, you can't get that. Can I get a new computer? No. You can't have any of that. I'm like, why? And she's like, well, because you haven't done it yet. She's like, show me that you're going to stick with this for 6 months. Make it good. Make it good. Keep making it better. Figure it out. And then we'll start getting stuff. We'll start adding. But until you follow through, like, I'm not spending any money on that. And I'm like, that's fair. I'm like, you're right. So yeah, I had to basically earn this from my wife.
Oh, I like her.
Amazing.
I like her.
Yes, that's what.
Like her.
Right, because that's what you told me. So like, you're like, yeah, you can get this one bundle. And then I did it for a little while. I got frustrated. I threw it off the shelf, and then everything was just sitting there. And I was like, no, screw this. We're just going to go live. And if we suck, we suck. And if we don't suck, we don't suck. And we're just going to do it until hopefully one day we don't suck so bad. And that's, fair.
Yeah. I mean, I started my first 10 shows with this. I just had the mic on this and these headsets, and I plugged into my laptop and was like, let's see what happens. Like, who knows?
What do you have now do you have a soundboard or a new computer?
Nope. I'm still earning stuff. She bought me this mic as like a surprise for my birthday, which has been, honestly, this alone makes the show go, because now I can listen back to my show and I'm like, okay, the audio is like listenable. So like that's decent. I still just use the stupid webcam on my laptop. I still use these Apple headphones, but like piece by piece, I'll put it together. So
that's right. Oh, here's my dude. I was going to bring him up in the show anyway. Keeping it real. Glad you're here. My wife said, how about one podcast a week? And and you'll see. But he was asking me about a microphone. And I was telling him, I don't know, because I just bought the bundle. Is your wife bought you that microphone? But it sounds great. And it's just plugged into your headphones in the computer?
It's just plugged right into my computer. And the only other thing I invested in myself, I just went and bought it and didn't even ask. I just bought myself an Ethernet cable, because I stream all those videos and it was very choppy through Wi-Fi. So once I started plugging in, and I can stream things better, everything comes out much better, because my show is kind of a watch party, right? For the most part, when I'm doing stuff like that. So it has to be good. Otherwise it looks good when I'm streaming, and then I go watch it back and it's like super choppy video. I'm like, oh, it's not even worth keeping up. No one could watch this. So yeah.
Are you using StreamYard too? Because I feel like we all kind of jumped on the StreamYard. I learned it from
so easy. It's so easy.
It is, yeah.
So
I have no technical skills, so I just need something simple.
Keeping it real. Thank you for the time. Memberships also now what gets unlocked. Tell me. Oh yeah, a lot of fun things.
There's a lot of things.
500, so.
Yeah, I just figured this out last night, but I don't. Small team, guys. I have to go read stuff and figure out how to make all these little icons and emojis and all these things. But yeah, I'm working on it. But this was really cool. Thank you guys, all of you, really,
for all the support. We wouldn't be here without you guys.
You guys have been amazing.
We definitely appreciate it. So now that you're successful, now that you're doing more podcasts, now that your wife kind of thinks that you're actually doing this or whatever.
But hold on, don't say that, because I remember he was in our chat at one point. He's like, struggle's real out here, guys. You don't know what it's like in these streets.
It's true. You know what? The hardest struggle is the time, like scheduling things with people, finding time in your own life to just put yourself out here like this. Like right now, again, I guess I'm thanking my wife a lot in this episode. She's making sure my dogs aren't going bananas in the other room while I do this for an hour. So like, yeah.
It's a team. And when you have a really good team, like it's helpful. But how is this working now that because you have to find the time. And then when you find time to do stuff like this, you're taking time away from something else. How are you guys able to manage it now that you are more successful in the space and people want to talk to you and you want to talk to more people and really promote your show, but also be guests on other people's shows?
Yeah, actually just yesterday we established a rule. So she's like the master of the schedule. She handles my whole schedule. I have to look at my like Google calendar to see what I'm doing in a day, because she has so many appointments booked for me here, gym thing here, call here with this gym, like just so many things. So she organizes all that stuff. And so the rule is, if I'm trying to schedule something, I can fit it in the schedule as long as it fits. If I double book, I have to change. So she's like, you can go anywhere you want. And if you get it in before me, I won't book anything when you have a live stream. So like it's whoever gets it in the schedule first gets to keep the hour or whatever.
So it's a race to the phone. I love
it.
It
is.
It's a race to the calendar. Yep.
It is. Yep.
Has she always been the one that organized everything, or with time you guys have just felt like she's better at doing that and you just like to show up and be there to do what you need to do when it's time?
She is, how do I say it nicely? Obsessive about organization. So I am not. I am a highly functional scatterbrain. So like I can get things done in the moment, but the next thing, I got to completely change my focus and get into that sort of thing. So she organizes everything. She sends me where I need to be, and I just bring my face and my work and just put it in there and see how it goes. So it's kind of like I don't know what I couldn't do this without her, and she couldn't do it without me because she doesn't want to do the labor stuff that I do. So
Yep, for sure.
It was really funny because the last podcast I scheduled with John Young, he made it for a certain day, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm good to go. I already knew Colleen said yes to that one, and then he wrote me back like 3 hours later. He's like, oh, my wife just told me I have this, and this to do, and I can't do it. Can we schedule it for another day, like maybe Saturday? And I was like, yeah, but you know what I'm gonna do first? Ask my wife, and then
Yeah, right. Get clearance, pal. Get clearance before you accept. I know that's a lesson I just had to learn. So
Yep.
I'm with them.
But not when people hear that though, some people take it as like you're asking permission and like you're not an adult. And for us, it's just we're a team and we just want to make sure that, you know, because her and I were talking about this the other day that, you know, my job, my role that I have fallen into and love and works for us is I take care of the house and I take care of her and I take care of our son, meaning like the schedules and that making sure everything is set in the house and
where my wallet is.
She goes to work and her job is very taxing and everything like that. And so we've really established that. But when it comes to this podcast, I'm also the reasoning of how much time do we have? If we have this, reminding her, stopping her, you know what I mean? But it's not a bad thing because we're a team. Do you feel like that you and your wife are a really good team when it comes to this? Because you also hear sometimes that couples can't work together because there's just personalities clash. Do you have that boundary, kind of like you were talking about with the gym, where you have the boundary of business first and then friendship? Do you have that boundary between partners in marriage and partners in business?
Yeah, that is a great question and stuff that we talk about this all the time. So we probably don't have as many like established rules or boundaries as we have for it. And definitely the relationship bleeds into the business and the business bleeds into the relationship. And we've had, and you know, people, not that many people, but if someone's inquiring about our relationship, it is more tough to be a business partner and, you know, a significant other with somebody at the same time. Wearing both those hats is really tough because, you know, we disagree on business things all the time. I think it should be done this way. Well, I think it should be done that way. Both are valid, but we need to make a decision. But sometimes the decisions are not as easy to come to a conclusion on. And those sort of feelings, it's hard to just put them aside and say, okay, let's go have dinner now. Like, you know, one of them still hung up on the fact that the other one disagreed about something. And so that bleeds over. And so, I think it's just been an evolution of our relationship because our relationship almost started at the same time as a business relationship. We both moved, she sold the gym. I broke up with my business partners and we moved together to Florida as from an early boyfriend girlfriend situation and bought a business together very early. We took big risks. So part of the foundation of our growing together was operating our finances together, our business together. So all our decisions have to be one. There's no separating any of it now. So if something ever happened where we had to split, oh my God, I don't know. We're not set up for that at all. There's no way to do it. Like we're so intertwined. And so, yeah. I mean, not that that's a good reason. Like we're not splitting. I'm just saying like, that's how intertwined we are. It's like one. So you have to ask, going back to that asking, it's not like asking permission, like you said, it's making sure that both people are on board with how that hour is spent because both people are relying on that time the same way.
Yeah. And I love how you explain it though, because there is a difference between coming to the table or coming to the conversation as a wife versus coming to the conversation as like her teammate on this or her, you know what I mean? Or coming to the conversation as a mother to our son. There's different hats, like you said. So you have to kind of establish that from the beginning. Hey, listen, as a wife, this is how I'm feeling. Hey, listen, as a teammate, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. And being able to establish those hats, like you were saying at the beginning of the conversations or in the middle of the conversations, you're able to have those conversations easier, I would say, so that we know like almost clear, like you were saying, like, you know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I think that we could do a better job of being more clear as to what hat is being worn when the conversation starts. I think that can be troublesome at times. And I think a lot of times maybe I'm just blind to it, but I can be expected to be a mind reader a little more as to what hat she's wearing. And so she's frustrated about something and I have to then figure out what, well, I mean, it could be me too. I could be frustrating about something and she's trying to figure out what, but yeah. So yeah, it's definitely complicated. It adds layers.
Yeah.
Sarah Cooper, it's a courtesy ask. That's always how I feel about it when I ask.
But Wad
But
Zombie.
Wild Zombie is correct. Those decisions are easy, Seth. She's right. You're wrong.
That's
Fair.
pretty much how it goes. I mean,
Ortega, what's up? Stopping by to say hi. Dude, I already gave you so many flowers at the beginning of the show.
Yep, you missed it.
Yeah, you missed it. Extra sloppy, what's up? I haven't seen you in so long too. God, that profile picture is killing me. But yeah, and the other thing I wanted to hit up too is you're a tattoo guy.
I'm a bad tattoo guy. I'm a random impulse tattoo guy.
Because Sevon always likes to make fun of me and tell me I have a mental illness because we have the tattoos that we have, and I just go with it. I'm like, yeah, I definitely do. I have large mental illness.
You know what? I always hear him talk about like the septum piercing and all this other stuff, how it's crazy. But when you think about those sort of things, I can't take the same stance that he does. I don't know if it's his shtick or if he actually believes it. But when you think back to like earlier humans, like we're very tribalistic creatures, and the tattoos and piercings were kind of a mark to separate things. That's why you still see traditional or like native tattoos. Like it was just part of either religion or culture or whatever. I don't think people are doing it in a sense that they are like self-mutilating. I don't think it's to that point. There's a difference. Like if I think something's funny and it would make a cool tattoo, and my wife's like, oh, like I'm getting a tattoo, I'm like, I'll get one. That'll be fun. And I'm not going to regret any. I have tattoos I wouldn't get again today. But I don't regret any of the tattoos that I have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you've never gotten one, because this is one that he and I have gone back, and I wanted to ask someone who actually has a tattoo. You've never gotten a tattoo for like an emotional reason, like you were young, you were having a bad time, bad breakup. Okay, cool.
I have my dogs tattooed in different places on me, and so eventually when they pass, they'll become my emotional reason. But no, most of them are just things I thought were cool when I was stupid and young, or things that like I saw that I wanted, and I just keep adding to the mess that is my tattoos. But it I don't know, just serves as like a timeline for me in a lot of ways. It doesn't bother me. And people, the biggest thing, oh, those are going to look terrible when you're 80. If I'm not shitting in a bag when I'm 80, like it's all good. I'm all good.
Yeah. And it's hard for people to understand that some people just get tattoos because they like them. They like the way that they look. Yep.
Slater, the experience of getting tattooed is addicting.
100%. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And not every tattoo has to have a meaning, like you said. But for you, it's almost the meaning is the timestamp of where you are when you get it. So it sounds like it's cool that it's a map of your life and your journey of where you were at, but not specifically to like, okay, this flower means that on this day at 12 something or whatever, this is how I was feeling. Right. It's also okay to just have tattoos that you just enjoy the way that they look.
Yeah. And I have some, again, I wouldn't get today, and I don't even necessarily enjoy them, but they become so a part of me over this time. When I look in the mirror, I expect to see them. They've been on me now, 15, 16 plus years. Like it's just, I don't think it has anything to do with mental illness. Oh yeah. I just got this.
Oh, is that your knee?
Side of my knee. Yeah. So it's a little pukey tribute.
That's crazy.
I love that. Painful though, huh?
That one wasn't pleasant. Nah. Yeah.
By the knee, cool, I always heard the knee is like really bad.
I want to pause it right when it gets to the cart.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's fire.
So the Joker or the Jack, whatever you want to call it, is pukey. So I thought that was my little tribute for fun. And I'm a very avid poker player. That's like my favorite pastime is playing cards. So
did you come up with a design by yourself, or did you just go to the artist and was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and he created that for you?
There was something similar that we found online, and then we sent to the artist, and the artist does everything custom. He does traditional, like it's called Sailor Jerry. So like the traditional sailor tattoo style. And so he just kind of built that from the idea I had and then put it together. And I didn't know, he's like, I'm going to freehand pukey. And like, this is my interpretation. I'm like, yeah, you have free reign to do that. And I was like, oh, wow, it came out awesome. So
yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Do you ever pick, did you ever have a plan for where you were going to put them on your body? I kind of made the mistake of on my legs. They were all over the place. So I could never get an actual, so like my arm or whatever is an actual
cool.
Complete sleeve.
Yep.
Whereas my legs are kind of just scatterbrained all over the place.
I never made a plan for that either. I was gonna do like a mythology started with like Egyptian theme on my right arm, and I was going to go into some other stuff too. And I never completed it. I started when I was young, and then I just started adding random shit around all over it. So I'm like, it'll be full at some point, but it won't be cohesive.
It won't be what
I
you
don't care.
thought. Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you have artists that'll do that, because you also have some artists that won't touch or go close to somebody else's work. So I have a half sleeve. It's the butterflies and everything and flowers, and I want to finish it. So I want like a sunflower and a rose and I want more stuff. And I talked to an artist that's out here, because the artist that started this isn't a tattoo artist out here anymore. He's like
he's
a
kind
nomad,
of a hippie. Yeah, he
and
goes
kind of
into
like
the hills for a couple years and then he'll show up again.
But he hasn't come back. This is the first time that normally he goes away for a little bit, then he comes back, and he hasn't come back. So trying to find an artist that will continue my sleeve is very, very difficult, because some artists just won't touch other people's or get close to other people's work. So it's really cool that you have artists that are like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just put it wherever and we'll just keep going. So that's really cool. Do you come up with design with each designer, like you said, you kind of, or do you just see something you're like, that's what I want?
Lately it's been when I talk to the tattoo artist, I'm getting something done. He's like, all right, we're just going to chat. What are you thinking about next? Like, what other themes do you like? Like, what things would you do? And then we'll talk while he's tattooing the current one. And then he'll put something in my head. And then a few months will go by where like my wife will mention it, I'll mention it, and we'll look something up one day and I'll go, oh, you know what? That would be pretty cool. And we send it to him, schedule, and then I just go get another tattoo of an idea planted. So sometimes it's like a process in my head as to what I'm going to get. And then I go to him with it. He's like, where do you want it? And I'm like, I'm not sure. And then he goes and draws it. And then he like takes the little like stencil and puts it all over, like, oh, look cool here, look cool here. And then I'm like, all right, that's the spot. And then we just do it. And it's like a twice a year thing. And I'll probably just keep doing it forever. And and then
you're covered.
People can make fun of me. People can look at them. People can admire them. I don't care. I enjoy the process of it. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Where's a Wad Zombie get a tattoo of, I got you. Okay. Get a tattoo of Sevon. No.
You could go crazy with that, like caricature style. You could take all his features, like a big old nose on it or whatever. Like you, oh my god!
You can get a picture of his homeless looking days where his face is full. Yeah,
like a little one, like a quarter size somewhere, just like a quarter size caricature of him.
I'm not. No, like okay,
you could hide it.
I would if I lost a bet. If everybody.
All right, chat. Here we go. How much we got to get in the chat to get this Savon tattoo going? How much?
I would get his logo. I would get his logo like a Jägermeister size or whatever somewhere if I lost a bet.
Okay.
But that's the only. I'm not getting his.
But no, I changed my mind. It can't go on her
my body.
It can't go on her ass because I don't want to look at Sevon's face on my wife's ass. So nope, I changed my mind. It can't go on her ass.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I would get his logo. Do you remember that on like what was that show? Tattoo Masters. Ink Masters.
Yep.
Where they would always have to do the Jägermeister logo on like a quarter. I would get his actual like logo if I lost a bet, but only if I lost a bet.
Oh,
well, we'll have to come up with something. Yeah, we'll come up with something.
So left ass cheek. Wait, what? Ortega? Left ass cheek on Friday the 13th.
They have discounted tattoos. They always have it on Friday the 13th. No, Ortega, we've moved away from the ass. I've changed my mind. I don't want Sevon's face on her ass.
Wait, let's we gotta let him go because his wife is waiting for him. And
he had a couple questions. So did you have a question you
kind of got into it? You got in your relationship a little bit. You've been together. You said 12 years married.
12 years almost.
And I really wanted the origin story of this, and I think you guys did that well. But
okay, good.
I have time if you want to dig in anything else. I got another 15.
The last thing I wanted to get into before you go is what are you doing for the games? Are you doing anything for the games? Are you running shows? Are you on everybody's live stream? What are you doing?
I'm going to hope to get on as many shows and streams of my own and others as possible. I can't go this year. I have a personal commitment that I cannot get out of. It's a good thing, but I just I can't get out of it. And I'm bummed because I've been to probably 10 CrossFit games in the past. I missed the COVID year like everybody, and then I hadn't really missed one since prior to StubHub Home Depot Center. So sucks not to see the new venue, but I'll be closely paying attention from afar.
Which venue did you like more? StubHub or
That's a great question. So I think being in Madison, that the feel of like the I don't know how to put it, like the whole community around, like the camping and all that stuff that was like all in one location was really cool, easy to get in and park and get out. The StubHub Center was like a nightmare. It's just this concrete like mass in the middle of LA that you have to navigate and then get back to your shit hotel at the end. Like it just, so the venue itself is cool with the tennis stadium and the soccer field. I really like that venue, but the logistics of it was kind of worse than Madison, but I thought the venue's better than Madison. So it's a toss up for me.
That's cool.
Easier to get to LA. That's for sure.
Yeah, for
me.
you, yeah, for sure. I was about to say I could drive to Madison. It wouldn't be like. But
wait, where are you guys located?
We're in New York.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought you were in New York.
Okay.
What part of New York?
Long Island.
Oh, really?
Very end of Long Island.
Okay, so like I'm pretty tight with Tyler McBride from CrossFit 516. Have you ever been to 516? Oh, he's in Long Island. He's been there a long time.
Really?
516. Okay.
We've got CrossFit Chief Nation. And what's Trish's gym?
Babylon CrossFit.
Oh, yep. I've heard of that one too.
Trish.
There's been a lot of gyms that have come and gone in Long Island though.
Yep. Yeah. Garden City CrossFit is actually where I got my level 1.
Oh, cool. Who were your seminar staff there?
Jen. She used to be a judge, and her husband. I'll show you.
Yeah. Charlesworth?
That doesn't sound
No, it doesn't sound right. She is cool. She's in a lot of you see her on the games feed, judging athletes and stuff. But
I think her name is Jen.
She's a spark plug.
How long ago did you do your L1?
A long time ago. So I was a CrossFit coach for 3 years.
Okay.
And then very similar to, unfortunately, a lot of CrossFit people is I had a falling out with the gym that I became a coach at. And that's why I was very interested in the beginning of like how you navigate the community and friendship and habit gyms and all this type of stuff and whatever. It's very similar to what I went, Marshall, that's their last name.
Oh yeah. Jennifer Hunter Marshall.
Yes. Yeah. Her and her husband. So they were my coaches. So because I became a coach, we became coaches when COVID happened because they lost all of their coaches. COVID happened and then nobody wanted to come back and work. So we were members there and they were like, hey, would you be interested? And I was sure, no problem. Took my level 1. I say to everybody that was the coolest weekend that I've ever had and experience. And I say, even if you don't want to be a coach, like, and you love CrossFit, go to a level 1 weekend. It's just something about it that really changes perspective, really reminds you of the roots of CrossFit, why we love it, the methodology around it and everything like that. And then I became a coach. And then just like I said, had a falling out, did it for 3 years, out all day, every day, went from 7 days a week to 5 days, got burned out, got frustrated.
7 days a week?
Oh, yeah. I was doing it every day for them.
How many hours? How many classes?
Depend. They had Monday through Friday. They had 3 classes in the morning. It was just the morning time. I never did night times, but I had 3 hours every morning. And then weekends, they always had 2. And then I did 5 a.m.s at one point. She helped out with 5 a.m.s at one point. So then I was doing all 4 classes in the morning. It was a lot. And I was invested in the gym. So I would help clean. I would be there. I would answer questions. You know, you're the coach, the manager, the owner, the cleaner, all of these type of stuff. And
our baby was young too.
And our baby was young.
He was like 3 years old, something like that.
Yep. So had a falling out there. And now I'm just a personal trainer. We do boxing training now just for fun. I'm still a personal trainer, very much in the methodology of
I don't do it for fun. I do it to beat you. That's all I know. I'm not losing. I can't lose.
So I very much am still in the methodology of CrossFit and building the foundation and functional movement, strength training. You know, I have a lot of older clients or clients coming back from injury. So we work on balancing and mobility and all that type of stuff. So that's where I'm at now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
CJ WOD Prep. Dude, I think I just saw your show, dude. WOD Prep will be flying solo since John and Travis are sledding around with the Heat 1 and spin. We can do something, Seth, if you want to.
Well, we can do a number of shows if you want that week. Then, I think he was just on Around the Whiteboard today.
Well,
cool.
Also, though, I think didn't him, John Young, Travis? They just went live like yesterday or the day before. So
I think they've done a bunch of shows lately.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So I found WOD Prep. Yay. Yay me. I'm getting there.
Another subscription to add to the YouTube subscriptions. It's
I just keep subscribing to everybody because
Me
I
too.
want to know everybody. I
Yeah.
really do want to know everybody, especially because this podcast space ain't easy. Like,
Nope. Do you feel like you're missing out if I can't keep track of like I said, I can't keep track of my own schedule, so I certainly can't keep track of all the shows that are on different times. So I like pop
Yeah.
on to see what's on. I'm like, oh shit, that's live. Oh no, I missed it. I always feel like I'm missing out on something, and then I'm like, what was talked about that I'm gonna miss, and then
It's-
not pick up in a future reference. Like I'm like, oh god, I'm falling behind.
Yeah, I do that too. I very rarely, because of everybody's time zones, because I'm not in anybody's time zone. When you told me what time zone you were in, I'm like, I don't even recognize that time zone. But then you told me what time zone I was in, and I was like, okay, cool. I can do it my time.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Uh,
try to schedule with people in their own time zone because I'm like, yeah, Hawaii Standard Time. You don't know what that is?
No.
well,
Yeah.
somehow I know what the UK time zone is because half the people I talk to on a regular basis are in England or Ireland or Scotland or something.
Yep.
So like, or
Yep.
the Isle of Man, Jake Chapman, wherever you are. But yeah, no, I do too. I never get to really watch them live, but I do try to. If I'm in the car or something, I'll put it on in my car and listen to it in my car, so I know.
Me
what's
too. Yeah, that's my main thing is I drive and let it play. That's when I can listen to most of it.
How'd you feel about last thing, and then we'll let you get out of
Oh,
here.
good.
But, how did you feel about your podcast with Susie the other day? That was fire. I definitely got to see that.
Oh yeah, I just like Sousa in general because we are like-minded affiliate owners in a lot of ways, and we both share equal old school CrossFit frustrations in a lot of ways. He's a little more loud about his frustrations, and I can be more reserved. I pick my moments, like when I went off on them on their shitty workout of the day, like last week or whatever, with the handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
Like I pick my spots a little
saw
more.
that.
Yeah. And but yeah, I just the show was great. I think we talked about teams and like the changes they need to make it exciting again, and I hope they do make some changes because I do want more stuff to watch with the CrossFit Games that isn't just individuals, and I don't think teams is watchable at the moment. I can't get into it. So, but it was a good show. It was fun. Good to
It
bounce some
was.
ideas.
I kept rolling around and just being like, I remember when I used to like to watch baseball, and it was when all the home run races were going on, and you had like 4 different people in the home run race but they were all on steroids. So I was like, oh, fuck it. Just roid everybody up and let them go run around in teams and just let them be large and fast and recover fast and whatever. But that was just me. And,
Are you surprised that Dave is back planning for the individuals and Boz is on the teams?
I'm not surprised just because of the personality types. And I think that I don't know. I don't know. I just remember there being a lot of talk about Boz's style of programming. In my opinion, Boz pushes progressions faster than Dave. So like he did the skills medley that was like way out of the box. He just Boz is willing to. I think he was the first one to throw the wall facing handstand push-ups out there.
Yep.
So he's constantly trying to evolve the skills. And I think Dave had a much slower evolution of the progress of that stuff over time. Sure, he put the pegboard out there, but this was many, many years after athletes should expect things like that.
Right.
And so I think Dave wanted to bring it back to more classic CrossFit because it was becoming a little bit, I don't want to call it like a circus show, but a little bit about like who could come up with this like one-off skill the fastest for points. And Dave was like, let's actually go back and just make it simple and test capacity again. And so I think there's probably some push and pull from the two different ideas between both guys. Neither are wrong, but I think Dave is probably easier. His style is more easily consumed by fans. It's just easier to understand what's happening. They can relate to the lower skill, higher capacity more. So I just think that's why Dave kind of took it back. Plus, it's his baby. Dave started the CrossFit Games.
Right.
Like if I was Dave and I wasn't and I started it and I wasn't happy. Oh yeah, look at that. And I wasn't happy with the direction that it was going, I would be like, oh, this is not what it's my CrossFit Games. This is not what I envisioned. And so whether, I think Boz did a fine job stepping in because I don't think anyone else could have done what Dave did. Right. But yeah, it makes sense that Dave is back in control just for, I don't know, quality control, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, can we talk about that? We're not surprised that there's a run, swim, run in this one.
She's so mad. She's so mad. She used to bitch about this with
Armin.
Armin Hammer. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish he would come back in the space. He was
Dude,
great.
I've tried. I
Yeah.
got him on the show. He was like my very first podcast ever.
Yep.
And then I can't get him to. He doesn't.
He's dad life.
He's a dad.
And
he's living
doing
jujitsu
different
dad
stuff. And from what I remember the conversation, he just was very frustrated with CrossFit for a while. You know,
I wonder if I could lure him in with my show, just being like, let's talk about only the good times, the stuff from way back. Maybe I should reach out to him and see if I can lure him in.
Yeah, you do it, because I'm not I love it, and I'm very good at, I remember who won all the games and certain events and great times and whatnot, but I can't talk to, I don't know anything about pro. Yeah, we're just giant fans.
So as a fan, the fact that we're going back to a run, swim, run, I'm annoyed.
You saw him
Why? Why?
I saw him at WCC Wanda.
West Coast Classic.
Okay.
Semifinal. Wait, what's annoying about a run, swim, run? I don't get it.
Isn't it the same thing over and over and over and over again? Aren't we looking for a little? So I know that maybe Boz took it like all the way circusy and a little bit too far, but like.
So you've had a run, swim. This is run, swim this year. You've had run, swim, run. You've had run, paddle.
We've had the paddle boards. We've had isn't it the same thing? Like one of my favorite swimming events was and I know that it was a smaller games, and I know not everybody counts the 2020 games, the COVID games, as the actual CrossFit games, whatever. But that swim event was one of my favorite swim events ever.
It was awesome. Yeah.
So I know that a smaller field gives you the option to be more creative and have more fun. But isn't there something else that they could do?
Do you want my opinion on all
I'm
this?
asking you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell me.
So my opinion is not the same as a lot of other experienced professionals in this. I think the games needs to test things more simply like this and pull it apart from the traditional like couplet, triplet, chipper. So the way that I envision testing fitness is you should mash things together early, the open quarterfinals, because you have to sort through these hundreds of thousands of people to get the best, right? So you combine everything, something will hang somebody up at some point. Mm-hmm. The best go on. Semifinals, you continue to mix things, but you make them, I don't know, like just you separate people by skills and weight at that point, right? So there's higher skills or higher reps of a higher skill, and then heavier weights that just hold certain people back. And then you get the best of the games. What I want to see, in the way I think they should test it, is the most simple forms of fitness: weightlifting, running, swimming, jumping, like real athletics that we can see pulled apart from the best that have combined it all together. So I want to see, so I'm stoked about this mile. I want to see what the fittest athlete, supposedly CrossFitter in the world, can do in the mile. I want to see what their time is. If it's like a 500-meter swim, how fast are CrossFitters swimming 500 meters? And I don't want them to do 150 thrusters first, which screw their shoulders and legs. And now I don't know what their swim capacity is. I want to see what the best in the world do in these simple fitness tests. So so to me, the simpler, the more exciting. Like Chad, amazing. Who is going to grind and just step and step and step?
Yeah.
As someone who thinks about the sport in that way, it's exciting for me to watch. As somebody who's not super into the sport and tried to watch this at a bar and it's on ESPN, it's not watchable, right? So there's a difference in
who's
what
watching
you're back.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So
I watched the marathon row in its entirety. I did not.
Oh, so did I.
I sat there and watched it. Whether it was on my phone, if I went to go do something, or I came back to the television, or I watched it. And
you probably sat through the false start and you watched the whole thing.
Yes, you did.
Me too.
Didn't phase me. Watch them with their little gloves and their towels and their food and their snacks. And absolutely did.
So do you think that is what separates CrossFit, the methodology, from CrossFit, the CrossFit Games? So you're saying the elite athletes, the best of the best, need to be trained in the simplest forms of fitness to prove their fitness test.
Jonathan Ortega.
Go ahead.
I think swimming is necessary to test fitness. Also, Jonathan Ortega, the fitness tests are dumb.
Fair enough. So to what you were saying, Colleen, I think that you test things in a more like singular fashion, but you train things combined. So most of your training should be the mixed modality training, most of that, because you get the most bang for your buck. If you tried to be an expert runner or an expert weightlifter or an expert swimmer or whatever, you wouldn't have enough time or energy in a day to excel in any of those. So we mix them together purposefully to
Right.
make you good at all of it. And then the
Right.
better you get at all of it, as you start to move up the ladder of fitness, then the details of these individual modalities matter more. So the more elite you get, the more later on you have to start pulling those modalities apart for both training and testing. But you start, I think it's the opposite. Most people think that you would start solo, get good at
Yes.
weightlifting, then I can CrossFit, get good at running, then I can CrossFit. No, get good at just mixing things around and being
Yes.
functional, and then pull things apart later. That's
Yeah.
how I think of it.
Okay, so that's the separation, because it's the functional fitness, the foundational fitness of everything, like you're saying, because obviously you get stronger, it helps with your running capacity helps with your lifting, and vice versa. But then when you get to the next levels that you're talking about, you're like, let's put on the gas and let's see who really is the best of the best in the simplest form.
And who can execute on game day, and who is dialed in the most details of those little domains. That's what separates the elite from the really good CrossFitters.
Mhm.
Who's really dialed in that run pace, who really worked on their swimming stroke, who really has the perfect step up or step over on that box that can be maintained.
Yep.
That stuff matters at the tippity top, but not anywhere near the rest of the levels
us that
down.
are just
right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I'll say this. I think chat will be fun if they have good coverage, if they have good camera angles and they can switch back and forth between the different athletes at the right times and the right moments. Like chat will be funny. Like it'll be
great.
Yeah.
I think it'll be great.
But they're supposed to have a twist. So are you against said twist, whatever the twist might be?
No, because the twist will likely only make it worse. And I like a long grind. So I like the marathon row. Like, you want to test the fittest in the world and you want to be part of that test, like prepare to suffer for a week. Like that's it. You asked for it. And so I want it to get worse. And yeah, like the whole pushback you see from a lot of athletes who have been there a long time, like Fikowski and Vellner, about programming. I have a ton of respect for both of them, by the way, but like they should know that, they're throwing themselves in against a bunch of young kids, and that for our entertainment, we want to see
people
grind.
suffer.
We
want to see it. Yeah, we want to see it. It's the test of the fittest in the world, and they've done amazingly well all these times, but they've also endured through crazy amount of hard things over the years and still coming through it. But
that's
because the elite, it's not just like you said, it's not just showing up physically on game day, but it's mentally too. You're showing up physically, mentally. How do you recover? How do you grind it out? How are you still in it, or are you not in it?
It's like the one where Frazier flipped Castro the bird when he was like, hey, you got to run back at the ranch, where they ran that big ass loop, and he was like, nah, fuck you, I'm not going. And then
Day was like,
yeah, you are going. Bye. That was amazing.
He still went and he still won.
It was awesome. It was so cool.
He probably had a moment where, he was in disbelief. And then after the disbelief, he was like, okay, I really don't want to do this. Like, can I argue my way out of it? And then instantly realized he wasn't going to argue. Okay, whoops, hit the switch. I got to go again. So like, there's probably this like whole process that happened in a microsecond in his head. And then he like turned it back on, because I mean, he's one of the most, if not the most like badass mental competitors that there's ever been at the games. So yeah, but that's funny.
Yeah, Birch, that was our COVID games. And dude, congratulations on your live StreamYard test last night.
Yeah,
I'm pumped. If you need anything, let me know.
Wait, what? What am I missing?
Papa Birch went on.
Papa Birch went live on his own YouTube channel.
Okay.
Play around,
just seeing what it's about. So
yeah, let us know anytime if you need anything.
It's very cool.
WOD Prep. One more, just real quick.
Yep.
WOD Prep. Oh, can you pull it?
Yeah.
I can read it. Seth, our How to Program Perfect CrossFit Games show is going to be perfect. Hope we can make it happen.
Let's do it next week.
Your man is advocating for you right now.
We'll pick a time. Next week. I'll message you after the show.
So you think, last question. So you think that is what makes the difference between an everyday athlete, a really good CrossFitter, and an elite athlete, is the mindset around it?
That's part of it. I think, the mindset overall, you could probably boil it down to execution. Execution comes from experience and how you move and how you strategize and how you focus. Like everything that comes together from your training would be your execution, and part of that's your mindset. But the mindset goes further than just the day of training. It's how you train leading up to it. But I mean, toughness is part of it too. Like there's so many aspects that go into. That's why I'm like kind of still in awe from games athletes, because as long as I've been doing CrossFit and been coaching CrossFit, I still can't wrap my head around what I would have. Like, I could never be a games athlete. I don't have those genetics, but the amount of effort they put into it, I can't wrap my head around how you could even get out of bed and do that day in and day out. I just
Every day.
Yeah, it doesn't compute in my brain.
Yeah. Because they say that it's the mental toughness of it that, like, because I'm the same way you are. I know how it feels to hurt in an average, very average beginner CrossFit class.
Right.
Or any other fitness class. To be able to push myself to that next capacity, I'm not there. I'm definitely not there.
I'm proud of
I'm not
myself
either.
when I do the turkey trot on Thanksgiving. I'm just saying right now.
Yeah.
That's when I'm proud of myself.
You should be, because you got up, you showed up, you ran the turkey trot,
right.
and you're done. I mean, you should be proud of that.
Yep, that's my goal. I want to do a 5K. I've never done a 5K before, so that's my goal.
Really?
Yeah, I've never done a 5K, and I have never been able to do a strict pull up. That's also my
that's
goal.
her other thing. Yeah.
Oh, we got to tick those two off like stat.
Like you sound like Jethro from Chief
She
Nation.
can do
Let's
toe
go.
bar forever. Like she can literally do toe to bar forever because she's bendy and flexy and whatnot. But
I cannot.
strict pull up.
I cannot.
But I
pull
can do
myself
strict
up.
pull ups all day. But I can only string together like 3 toe to bar.
Yeah.
You guys got to help each other out.
I
Be
know,
a team
it's
here. Be a team.
She's got to
Yeah.
hold my feet underneath me and just help me with my pull-ups.
We're
Yeah.
we're definitely not a team when it comes to athletics. We're definitely all competition, no chill, no like everything else in life. Yeah, team.
Well, we used to do when we did the open, because we've been out of CrossFit for
We gotta
a
let
little
this
bit.
man go, girl.
I know it. Last
You're
thing
good,
I'll
you're
tell
good.
him about. So we used to do the open, and we would compete, and whoever won, gave rent. You had to pay rent to the other one. So there were
Wait, what was the rent?
Whatever the
you
other one
wanted.
made up.
Oh, I
Whatever
didn't know
you
if we were going to get into something dirty with rent.
No.
But
She
okay.
made me eat a raw what?
I've had her eat a raw onion before. I've had her eat
Drink-
raw eggs, drink
like
raw
raw
eggs.
Yep.
I put peanut butter on her nose, and my dog had to lick it off her nose. But
That's not a punishment. That's funny.
she wrote a poem, and then I had to go stand in our dumpster that we have out in the back, and I had to recite that poem. It was like a love poem to her from the dumpster.
What kind of psycho even thinks of that punishment?
My wife.
What the heck?
It was great. It was so funny. If I find that in my Instagram again, I'm gonna put that in my story because that was
You need
was,
to.
Oh my
it was a
God,
masterpiece of a poem. It was
That's pretty
did.
funny.
I was laughing. So it was a love poem. It
was.
was yeah. So we
It was
used to
great.
do rent. I'm trying
Listen,
to
I lost a lot. When I won, I had to get in all the like leftover, you know what I'm saying?
Make it up in one go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
I hear you.
that was intense to go into the dumpster and recite this poem for her.
It's really funny.
Thank you so much, my man.
Yes,
Please
thank
thank your
you.
wife. I would love to do this again sometime after the games when everybody's calm and chill and whatever, and really get to ask you some.
If you want some real good entertainment, you should have me and her on at the same time. If you want a show, then
We would love
anytime.
that.
Yes,
We would love that.
she's quite a character. I've had her on my stream a few times, and when she comes on, people all ignore me in the chat and only talk to her the whole time. So
I
that
will
could be funny.
absolutely schedule that.
Yeah.
That's amazing
We
because
would
then
love
our
that.
wives are just going to go off on us the entire time, and we're going to sit here and be irrelevant. It's fine. It's not a problem.
you'll have a good time with her. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
That's
absolutely about that. Absolutely.
Hey, babe, rents due. That's exactly how it went. It sure is.
Yep.
Sarah Cooper, good to see you. Thank you, lady, for coming in. Wild Zombie, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Ortega,
guys.
Jeffrey Birchfield, love you, bro. Kenneth DeLapp, always.
Yep. Appreciate you
I know
guys.
there's more people I didn't say. Kipping it.
Yep.
But love you guys. Appreciate you for hanging out with us so much. And yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow is HGR CBD. He's coming on. Big Carl's coming on.
Yep.
And then the boys are coming on Sunday. So there's going to be a whole
Chad,
lot of
appreciate-
hog talk. And they already sent me memes and shit. So get
Saw
ready.
that. Yeah,
Dad,
that's going to be
appreciate you.
live.
Yep.
Yes, Kenneth. I did say yes. My wife got me to say yes. I'm going on my own podcast without my wife. I'm going on Jason CF Media. By myself.
Wow.
Place
Yep.
that.
Wow.
With Emma McQuaid.
Yeah, I'm
dude,
gonna
with
meet Emma McQuaid. Yep, gonna meet Emma McQuaid. So that'll be really cool. So come hang out with us, and
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
it'll be good.
Thank you. Nickelback.
Yes. Thank you. All right, guys.
Big Seth. Appreciate y'all.
See you guys.
Good night. Bye.
Like that was all.